All right, we're on. We're live. Welcome, everybody. Tonight is the Anyone Can Farm Experience live chat. I'm Mark, your host, coming from lovely Marion, Michigan. And it wasn't too lovely today, I'll tell you that. So we're talking tonight about what we call around here March Madness. And we had some nice weather, last week and a little bit the week before. Almost started feeling springish. And then boom, went down to 20 degrees. And it's blowing and snow a little bit here and there. It's not building up. It's not enough to go snowmobiling or anything. But it just it's gray and it's pretty typical for March. And around here on the homestead, sometimes in March we have problems, or I have problems. And so I want to talk a little bit about that tonight, like mental health on the homestead. Because you go from, extreme highs to then lows, right? And I was just talking with Jill a minute ago, and I'm looking outside, and the sky is red. So, maybe tomorrow will be a day, And I don't think it's gonna. Let me look at it. No, tomorrow's going to be blowing and 30. Today was 39, actually. And then Thursday's 30, Friday 32, Saturday 32, Sunday 38, and then Monday it starts getting a little nicer. It's going to be in the 40s for 2 days and then back down to 30. Well, anyway, tonight's show is sponsored by the Anyone Can Farm Tribe Plus. And the Tribe Plus has been going pretty good. My end of it was to take you around with me on my daily excursion here and show you what I'm doing to help inspire and also to show you how I do things, right? And I have this vision of how that's going to go. And it hasn't quite taken shape yet, but stay with us because it will. The other thing that's really handy, I think, it's a service that seems to be working out pretty good, is Wednesday night we do a Zoom call. So tomorrow night we'll have one. Right now we're doing it every other Wednesday. But I can see a time when we're going every Wednesday. And we just sit down for an hour. It's a Zoom call. If you are a Tribe Plus member, you get a notification of the code to get in and all of that stuff to be on the Zoom call. Jill sets it up for me, so I don't really know how it works. And then you've got me for an hour. Sometimes we go 2 hours. And it's sort of a support group, actually, for people that have wandered into this and then found, wow, there's more to this than I thought. It sure would be nice to talk to somebody that kind of knows what they're doing. And of all the things that you can know in this business, I'm in it 20 years. And, I was in the Air Force for 20 years. And a lot of times you're just going from one fire to the next fire to the next fire, spot fires, putting them out. And then in between, you have moments of clarity where you can think, oh, I can see, I don't want to do this. I probably want to adjust it and do this. And then all of a sudden you have a breakthrough and things start to work and work well. And I think that what I am coming to understand, and I've been sharing this, the homestead is a conglomeration of different processes. And I think that for the individual family, they need to be balanced properly, right? And that has to do with your family structure. It has to do with where you live, what resources are available to you, and things like that. So although my system is tailored, I tailor it to me and my family. Yours might be different, but I could offer insight as to what I think I would do if I was you. and that could be helpful. Could be helpful. I think it would be helpful. There's a lot of times, still at this point, 20 years in, and it's going to be 20 years at this location, Baker's Green Acres, Michigan. Uh, Come May is when we moved here, and there's a lot of water gone under the bridge. A lot of water gone under the bridge, and we get to a certain plateau, and you can kind of look around. The smoke clears. Oh, okay, we've got this figured out. We're doing this, and then you say, "Wow, what would fit with this would be maybe this process." And just to give you a little bit of an idea of what goes on here is. We do pastured poultry. We've been doing that since we started. We do pastured pigs, and I have kind of a system that I've come to. I wouldn't say perfect, but it's working pretty well. And yeah, we generate a lot of pork, and we know that pork is difficult to produce at a good price because feed is expensive. It just is. And you got to figure out a way around that. And I don't think you can totally put an end to your feed costs, but if you can shave and shave and shave, your bottom line starts looking better. And if you can tailor your process to a place where you have less people involved, your product goes out and you get more return on it. And after all, this really is about, it is about profit. It really is about profit. Some people get into this and they just want to do it, have a few chickens and stuff. And I respect that because that's really where we got into. It was more of a way of life that we wanted, and, creating entertainment where we lived and where we raised our children. And so that's kind of where we started. But then I was faced with a decision when I left the military. Now what? Now what am I going to do? Right. And I had these ideas about being a farmer, and they were just ideas because I really didn't know anybody that was doing what we are doing now. So there was nobody to really go to and say, okay, what should I do? But anyway, pastured poultry, pastured pork. We raise steers for beef. Not a lot. I usually will have about 15 of them max. I have 8 right now. 8. Because we butchered a lot of them off this year. We do butchering as well. We've got a pretty well put together butcher shop now. It's the second one that we've put together here. The old one, we've converted that into something else, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. We milk cows. That is what I am most excited about now, for a lot of reasons. But raw milk is trending in the United States. It really is, and I think it is. For my family, it has been one of the best things that we've done just for our family here, just for the people that are living here and their sustenance. Because this homestead doesn't only create the dollars that we need, we create the food that we live on. And let's say we were just raising mushrooms, well, then we'd have to take the money that we get from raising mushrooms and we'd have to go to the store and buy all of our beef and all of our milk and all of our butter and cream and cheese and pork if we were going to eat pork, and chicken, right? So we produce that pretty handily for our family, and we eat good. And, farming is a way of life. And so when you look at the whole picture of our lives, what is it that makes our lives good? Right. So for me, food is something that I really look forward to. My wife feeds me good, and I eat good food. I don't have to eat macaroni and cheese and top ramen and stuff like that because, you know, the dollars have to go someplace else. I can eat really good quality grass-fed hamburger. I can have pork chops. I can have chicken, as much as I want, really, and that's pretty nice. So uh, you don't want to discount that, right? Um, so milk. Let's see. We have a big garden, so we have lots and lots of vegetables to eat. I have a pretty nice root cellar that I built, and so we're able to store a lot of our stuff, which is important as well. We do a lot of storage. We do a lot of like canning. Jill is really into freeze drying now. That's her main thing that's got her excited, it seems, when she's not excited about me. And that's working out really good, really good. She's freeze drying milk and sending that out. She's making a potion now of eggs, milk with a lot of cream in it, and anything that comes from the garden, like the raspberries and strawberries, things like that, goes into that potion, and then she freeze dries it. And she's even putting it in little forms right now. I mean, she couldn't put it in something that looks like an ice cube. And when it's freeze dried, it's just this little cube, and you eat it. It's dry. It's almost like a long range patrol ration that you would get, only it tastes good. It tastes good. And we've got plenty of water, right? So, or you can have it with milk, and it's really outstanding. And so she's been experimenting with that. And actually, she's been in production with it now for our family. So I don't think we're going to be canning as much stuff as we have in the past. I think a lot of it will be freeze dried stuff because it stores for a real long time, and it's not heavy. You don't need glass jars and stuff. So it's pretty good. She's doing that now and working the bugs out of it and getting smart about it. And I think she'll be actually doing classes on it because it is so versatile, for food storage. Let's see, what else do? We do mushrooms. I'm really into mushrooms. We have a big, pretty good sized flock of egg layers. Got a good system going there for that. So we have lots of work to do here, and it is our way of life, and we enjoy it. I really wouldn't want to do anything else. Once in a while, I'll see pictures of, like I just saw a picture of a guy that I know, and I bought insurance from him. And it was a picture, he's in the Bahamas, I guess. And, it was a picture of him and his wife, And I thought, wow, that looks good. That looks so good. And here I've been, working it today, and it wasn't so much fun today. I didn't have a really wicked good time today. And I think that's why we want to talk about March Madness a little bit. March, it should be called March Gladness, right? My friend Owen Benjamin has changed it up a little bit, and we're not really friends. I just listen to him once in a while, and he's kind of a homesteader, comedian, got a kind of a different outlook on things, and I don't listen to him every day now because I don't have time to. And well, anyway, but he calls it March Gladness, right? And he does help with a lot of, what really is important in life. What really is important. So tonight's show is going to be sponsored by Tribe Plus. Tribe Plus is sort of a, we're winnowing down the group a little bit, and I'm making videos specifically to the Tribe Plus people. And there's going to be a lot more. This is a tough month for me to make videos. And yeah, so I haven't quite gotten it down. With my other videos that I was just doing, they were offhand, and it was show and tell. Hey, look what I'm doing. Isn't this cool? And that's good. It's good. But I don't get into the nuts and bolts of how I got to the point that I'm showing you, right? So with the videos for the Tribe Plus people, they're going to be much more in depth. And, there is a psychological component to doing this, because it's not like you can reference material on it all the time. At least I haven't found a way to do that. And maybe I'm not that type of person, right? But we do have some things coming up that I want to remind you of. And these are good, breakthroughs when we are in the middle of March Madness. There's March Madness, it seems like you're waiting for spring, and then, you got that wind whistling up your backside, and you're like, when is it going to get here? Why am I doing this? Why am I not in the Bahamas? And all those things. And so you can kind of get a little in years past, it's hit me hard, and I go to turning on, the people that I love, and it doesn't do any good. It just makes things worse. Now I just have to slow down, and I have to think about what is coming and what I have to be prepared for, right, in the spring. But anyway, May 4th is going to be the seedling exchange. It used to just be the seed exchange, right? But we changed the date from April to May. Well, did I say March? No, it's May 4th. And we're going to have better weather, and people will have their seedlings. And a lot of people are getting their gardens in at the end of May. So I think it'll be much more utilitarian because people can share more stuff. One of the things that we stress on, we stress, we don't stress on it. Sometimes I do stress on it, but is this tribe is a group of people that are all interested in the same things. And usually it comes down to family, farm, and a way of life, right? So it's good if we can get together from time to time. And I like to host get-togethers at my place, but I like going to them at other people's places. I went to one at the Clerics last fall and had a whale of a time. I think we were some of the last people to leave, and I would have stayed overnight if I could have. We just had fun. It's just a bunch of people that live sort of the same way we do. Not exactly, but excuse me. That's a bottle that I had to buy the other day, and I've refilled it about 20 times with our water. It's just kind of nice. It kills me to be out, and you need something to drink. And I was getting gas, and I go in a store, and I'm looking through, and I get a bottle of water, and I get up to the register, and it's $2.38 for water. Come on! So I'm keeping the bottle, and I'm going to get my money out of this bottle. But that starts at 9 o'clock, and it goes kind of like, we get together, and maybe somebody has some words of wisdom, usually me, and then we just start to just maybe do a walk around the farm and look at things, or people can just stay around the campfire and drink coffee, and then we usually have lunch. So it's pretty customary for people to bring a dish to pass. And, we'll have the flatware and stuff. And I might even knock a pig down and barbecue it, because I have a few that are ready to be processed. So I may do that. And then we can exchange seeds and seedlings. Jill is even saying that it would be fun if we opened it up to vendors. So if you you still have time, if you want to grow a whole bunch of plants and then you want to put a price tag on them, you can do that. And then you might walk away with some money, and people will get some things that they need. Because I realize that, people might not have anything to exchange except dollars. And that's okay. We need them too. Everybody needs them. So if we have to exchange those, that's fine. If you have honey or something like that you want to bring, hey, that's fine. So that's coming. I hope to have the store up and running by then. So let me tell you about that. That's another thing that I'm doing here that I'm pretty excited about, and it fits with raw milk. So when you're milking cows, I have 5 cows, and this farm was designed for 10. Right, that's about as many as they milked back in the day. This place was put together in 1900 by a man by the name of Ben Brinks. So I live on the Brinks Road, and he milked 10 cows. And the way it worked for them was they would put the milk in cans. You've seen those milk cans. They would submerge those in water, in well water, and they could cool it down to 50 degrees. And then the milk was put out by the road, and the milkman would come by. He would put it on the wagon, and down the road he went. This road, actually, when we first moved here, you could see on the road the logs that are across the road. And then they would put gravel on top of them. And when the gravel washed out, you'd still see the logs. But they've redone the road since I moved here. And you don't see the logs anymore. But it wasn't always passable, And I suppose at first they came through with a wagon, and then probably later on they had a vehicle, a truck or something. And they would take the milk cans, put them on the truck or the wagon, and take the empties off and put them by the side of the road. And one of the kids would have to take them and bring them up to the milk house for the next day's milking. So they never dealt with much quantity for milk. We don't have the same situation right now where there's some sort of aggregator in town that will take that milk and spin the cream out of it or make cheese out of it or bottle it. We don't have that now. Raw milk for 25 years has been kind of taboo, maybe even longer than that. And that was done in order to give more market share to the big milk co-ops, and people were pressed into a mold of milking 80 cows instead of 8 cows. So then they had to get pretty big. They had to acquire more land, so there was less people on the land, and more mechanized milking going on. And then the next step was to milk 500 cows. And now there's a dairy north of me. You would not even know it's a dairy if you didn't know. And they're milking 2,500 cows, and they milk around the clock. So those cows are getting milked 3 times a day or in 24 hours, where we milk our cows just once a day. And then they're able to go out and eat grass and lay in the sun and have their calves. And it's much more healthy environment. We don't have to give our cows anything in the way of medications or anything like that. They just stay really healthy. So that's how we do it, and it's a model from the way it was done in 1900, which the model that was brought here from Holland, where these people came from, they did it over there for hundreds and hundreds of years like that. So anyway, that's what we're going back to. And I'm really excited about that because it really worked well back then. And if I wanted to get into milking 80 cows right now, I couldn't possibly do it. I could not possibly do it. So I can do this. And the taboo-ness on raw milk is being dispelled, a block at a time. It never was an illegal substance. They tried to regulate it out, but people see through that now. And, we go boldly out into the public with our raw milk. And I counsel with people pretty regularly on raw milk production and the true law, which is, the U.S. Constitution. So entities like the Department of Agriculture like to come up with rules and regulations. So if you check with them, they'll say, oh, no, according to this regulation, you have to do this. But, if you just look at the Fifth Amendment, unless they outlaw milk, there's nothing that they can do. And to outlaw milk would take an act of Congress to do so. It's not ever going to happen. So anyway, the store it started out as just a refrigerator that was out in front of the old butcher shop, right? And people would come in the driveway, they would get their milk, leave their bottles, and go. And, at first we were just like, oh, just put your money in a coffee can here, literally a coffee can that was in there. And it started, hey, there's 4 $10 bills in here. Whoa. That's in our economy, in the homestead economy, that's like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. It really didn't, but, and so we started to see the beauty of that. And there was another dynamic going on. People are coming to a farm. They get to see the cows. They get to interact with the farm family. And we've stepped it up a little bit. Like we've moved the swing set down to an area where children can play. And then I put up a little cage there where we can put some small animals in that kids can go in and pet. And, so we've upped the game a little bit, made it sort of a place to come. And then the old butcher shop, we're converting that. Over the last couple of weeks, I put a floor in there. I just finished it up today. And we've insulated, made it look nicer in there, and done some painting, some woodwork and things like that. I got to put a new door on it. So when people come, they will not just be going to an old refrigerator to get milk. They'll be coming into a space that we have farm pictures on the wall from this farm that, we've taken over the years. And so they walk into an environment where the milk is procured. And then if they want to talk to the farm family, if they need to look at the cows, if they want to go pet the cows, if they want to walk around, if they have questions, we're here to do that. And it's nice. It is really nice. I had some people come Sunday to get their milk. They normally get it Saturday, but they Sunday, and they came right after I was done milking. Just cleaning up, putting everything away. It's like a little later in the day because we started a little later, and just had really nice conversations with these two groups of people. One is a young mother with like 3 kids, and her husband was waiting, and he finally came in, and we talked with him too. And but it was just about struggles that people are having now. Our society now is dealing with the lack of reality, right? We are being told that we need to accept things that our mind and our spirit says those things are not good. Those things are not good. And we're told if you don't accept those things, there's something wrong with you, And so, and we all know what those things are, right? We all know. We don't even have to bring it up. We don't have to say it. I say it enough. But complaining about it doesn't do any good. But when you go to places where it is reality, where it is a reality check, if those cows weren't milked, I can't make believe that they were and sell you water. I can't do that. I can't take that milk and take everything out of it and then sell you this white fluid that I've cooked and say, this is milk. And your kids drink it, and then all of a sudden they got some kind of weird intolerance. They got lactose intolerance. And yeah, well, then you just need to get this medication over here. Or stop eating this, and then, or just get used to it. You'll get used to diarrhea after 3 or 4 days. So we can't deal with, well, these conversations were about the reality of farm life and how they felt as though it's sort of an anchor. Here's one place we can go where we know they got to keep it real. It's real. Where out in the world, I guess, there's a lot of things that are unreal. We're forced to just get used to it, and people don't like it, and it creates problems in people's spirits. So the farm experience helps to ground people back to where they know they want to be. And the pendulum swings. Even in my short life, and I'm 63, I've seen things come into style and then go out of style because people are like, no, I'm not accepting that. And of course, we have things now like this. We have social media that pounds us, and the news pounds us with, accept this. Some of the most absurd things that I've ever seen, and I don't see that much of it. So to me, it just seems totally absurd. Is like I caught this thing with Sean Hannity, supposed to be a big truth teller, and he has Bruce Jenner on his show, and Bruce Jenner decided at age 65 that he really is a woman, and he changed his name to Kate, and put a little makeup on and a dress and stuff. And Sean's sitting there talking to him like, this is real. Like, Sean, come on, give the guy a break. Give us a break. Sean, you don't believe that, do you? So when he does that, I don't want to listen to anything else that he says. And ever since he did that, I could kind of stomach him a little bit, but not anymore. I can't. I just have to no. And there's several things like that, and we're starting to see that there's more of that than we ever knew, because were brought into it really slowly. So I can go on and on and on about that, and don't really need to. But when we engage in a very intimate process, like putting a real food substance into our mouth and consuming it and letting it run through our system, we get benefit out of that. And it's not a benefit that you would get if, let's say, you went to a movie and you came out and you're feeling really high over the movie that you saw. It's a little bit more subtle than that, and it's a little bit more long lasting than that. And I can give you a great example of this. It wasn't this past weekend. It was the one before that. It was a Sunday afternoon. And it's like, whoa. It was dark and cold. And, nobody comes here on Sundays. And we didn't have anybody over or anything. And we were just kind of sitting around here, looking at each other. And I didn't want to dig into any work. I felt like if I did dig into a bunch of work, then I'm kind of doing it just to deaden my dissatisfaction with life at that point. And my family, the kids, were feeling the same way, I could tell. And I said, come on, we got to do something. Let's do something. Let's go get burgers and fries. Which it sounds like a good thing to do, right? So there's this place up in town that we've stopped at in the past. And, if we got people with us, it's just, you're with people and it's fun. But we went and got food, fries. The waitress was nice, but TVs everywhere in this place going. And, there's a lot of weirdness going on in the place. And there's a bar, so they're drinking and they're loud and everything. And I realized, this really doesn't get it, because the food wasn't good. The fries were okay. They tasted good. But by the time I got home, I was like, I shouldn't have ate that stuff. And it didn't do what we thought it would do, what I thought it would do. It just didn't. So if I had to do that all the time, and that was what I did for a kind of a release, I would be an unhappy person. And I think that's why I probably settled on this lifestyle, because there's a lot about this lifestyle that I really like. I really like. Another thing that's coming up that I'm really looking forward to, the more I see it, the more I like it. It's on the 17th and 18th of May. If you're wondering why I'm looking over there, Jill has a big calendar on the wall. She's a visual person, so she got a big dry erase board and a big calendar. The desk is right over there. So this is the office. This is where all the bills get handled and all that stuff. And the computer's in here. And it doubles as a studio. And but that is going to be the Mitten Homestead Conference, and it's going to be the first year. It's put on by Mina Postman. She's just another homestead woman, but she saw a need and really I really resonated with her because she called me on the phone and said, "Will you come?" And yeah, because it's here. It's in Michigan. It's going to be in Lake Odessa, which for me is about 2 hours south. And we're going to make a good time out of it. I was going to be speaking on the first day, the 17th, but somebody couldn't make it for health reasons on the 18th. So I filled in his spot, and I'm going to be talking about pastured poultry for him. I don't know the guy, but he suggested that I fill in for him. So that makes me feel good, And I think I know enough about pastured poultry at this point to be able to keep a conversation going for, it's just an hour. But we're going to get a place to stay down there, like a Airbnb. And as soon as that's secured, I'll let you know. And anybody that wants to share with us, we can defray costs. So, and then we can, have breakfast there in the morning and get showers and stuff. I'm meeting with the public, so I gotta smell good, I guess. But I'm looking forward to that because it's Michigan, so it's the state that I live in. It's close, and I think something in my spirit says, do it, and like it. And I think I'm going to. Yeah, I know I'm going. I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it, and I'm going to have fun. But it's local, and I like that. I like local things. Like the big homestead conferences like Mother Earth News and stuff, there's so many people there. It's really hard to connect with anybody. But if it's local, it's like, oh, hey, I live in this town over here. I live up, the people, Michigan people are going, oh, I live here. Oh, I live here. And oh, I live up here. So it'll be fun. And, hopefully we make friends with people and we make connections, and maybe we can do business together, right? So I think that all fits in with the direction that we're going as a tribe, like unity. We're working together. We're helping each other. I think that's what we want to do. I know that's what we want to do. That's what I want to do. That's my spirit says, this is what you need to do. There's definitely days, like if you came here today, you would be like, wow, he's grumpy. Or maybe I wouldn't have been if somebody showed up, but as it was, I was pretty grumpy. So I stayed away from everybody. And the a little bit more on the store. I think it will be a place where, like I have a neighbor that does bees, and he's pretty good at it. He's a builder. But what he does for a living is building, but he does a good job at making honey. And he doesn't really have a way to market that, but hey, we'll buy it from you. We'll buy it. We'll put it in our store. We'll bump the price on it a little bit. And that makes it easier for people to come and, well, I can get milk. Oh, they have honey here. I'll get honey. And it's right from our biosphere. So that's pretty important to me. And then, oh, we've got a freezer here that, Oh, look at all this nice hamburger that they have. Is that grass-fed hamburger? It sure is. And whoa, look at all this breakfast sausage that they have. Is that from those pigs running around out there? It sure is. It was made right over there in that butcher shop. So I think, no, I know. I can see this to where we have this cute little farm store that people can drive in, moms can drive in, and we already have a pretty good flow of people coming through, and they can get what they need with one stop, and then their kids can play, with my emotional support goats and swing on the swings and just be outside, and it's a safe environment, for a person to be at. There's not that many like the farm north of me. It's industrial model. I don't think you can even go and get a tour of it because they're pretty touchy about people taking pictures there because it's I wouldn't say it's cruel, but the poor cows are walking on concrete the whole time and they never get to go outside. They never actually get sun on them. That seems it seems unfair to me. It just doesn't seem right. I mean, they were created for the grass. The grass is outside. Sun is out where the grass is. They kind of need that, I think. I know that my cows seem to be very happy in their environment. So, yeah, that's what we do here. And when it's not March Madness, I'm real excited about the life that I'm leading and the people that are in my life and all that. Now, when March Madness comes, here's what can happen. And I think that you have to take I have to take an active stance on, okay, at the end of the day, boy, I didn't get much done today. And I would kick myself. Get your butt back out there and get something done. But it's more difficult in March to get things done. It just is. Today I had to drop a bale to the milk cows and one to the beef cows. And it's like, I should have done it first thing in the morning. I should have. Just get out there and do it. It's enjoyable, actually. But it was snowing and the wind's blowing, and I was hoping it was going to be warm, but it wasn't. And so I put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off until end of the day when you have to do it, and the cows are bellowing at me. And by the time I got around to doing it, I was kind of upset and like, ugh, this sucks, And I have to grab a hold of that and say, wait a minute, why is it like this? Why am I letting myself slide down this path of you stupid cows and the gate's stuck and get away from the gate. I'm trying to open the gate so I can get the bale in there and they want to get out on the other side. They always just do. And, it's muddy, right? So that doesn't help. So when I finally got around to doing it, as I was doing it, I said, what can I do to make this work better? What can I do to make this so I'm not as uptight about this, And all I had to do was slow down. That's all I had to do. And I didn't do it today, but the last time I had to do it, I came in and put coveralls on. And then I was warm. And that made it easier. Who wants to put coveralls on in March? I don't, but I did. I put bibs on, so my legs were warm. And then after I dropped the bale, I sat there and I watched him for a while. And I started looking at him. I started to think, wow, I'm really going to like the steaks that I get off these beef cows. I'm really going to enjoy that. So I started to think, this could be a lot worse. It really could. I could be in a position where I don't have enough hay for these guys. That would be bad. And that would really make me feel like, oh, I have to butcher some of these now. And then, well, I don't have the time to do that because I'm working on this the store project, so you can get yourself backed up. You can get yourself in a tizzy, and then you don't sleep good at night. Maybe you're a little short with people around here, and you don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It's almost like one thing leads to the next as far as bad things going wrong. And so you have to wait. Okay, I don't need to do this. I'm going to take a little bit of time and just slow down and just accept the fact that I might not get that much done today. And then kind of go into my mind and think, as soon as spring comes, I am really looking forward to going out there and clipping off all of these saplings and running through my new chipper shredder and making a new feed for the pigs. Oh, that's going to be great. I can't wait. This time last year, I didn't have a chipper shredder. And it wasn't on the budget to get a chipper shredder. Not anyway, because they're quite expensive. But somebody in the tribe came along, Philip, and said, I got one. I can make a whale of a deal on it too. It's in great shape, and I'm not going to be using it. Okay, well, what are you thinking? Oh, wow, what a good deal. Yeah, he's going to trade for our services here. So that works great. And so it worked out. So I start thinking, wait a minute, I got a lot going. And a lot's going good. Everybody's healthy. We've got enough hay in the barn. We've got enough feed. We're going to make it. We're going to make it through this month, and we're going to start seeing some better days. So just relax. Just relax. And, you can get all relaxed, and then all of a sudden it bounces back. And, oh, this isn't working, We're below freezing right now. So I really need to be hauling water to all the pigs because there's no snow on the ground. And I was about to do that this evening after I did hay. And for me, hauling water, I got to haul a lot of water because I got a lot of pigs. And I thought, I'll just check and see if it's thawed, if the lines are thawed. Because the way I do my water, I have two separate water systems. One's like a summertime system, and one is a winter system. The winter system is a lot more intense, and it requires I use the tractor, and I got to have a barrel on there for the water, and it's a long process because you got to fill the barrel, then I got to take it over to where the pigs are, fill their waterers, and it's a long process. And you're standing there in the cold, and it's just you're burning diesel, and you're standing there like, ooh, okay, But I tried the water system, and what do you know? It was thawed enough to run. So I was able to run all the water in just flicking the handle up, and then whoop, I can see that one's on, and I'm quite sure the other ones are on. I walked over and checked, and they were. So I ran the water for 20 minutes. I got enough water out there for them today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be colder, so I'm not planning on the water to be running. So we're in good shape. So I just think that it's worth passing on that things aren't roses here all the time, and mental health you got to work at it. You got to work at it. It doesn't just come naturally, because in this game, in this career field, a lot of times you're not working with brand new equipment, and even if you were, it breaks. You're not working with the ability to get on the phone and call a specialist in, and even if you could call a specialist, they might be busy with something else, and you might not get them right away. If you have tragedies, you've got to deal with them. And if your mental health is good, you're going to deal with them a lot better, a whole lot better. So that is kind of my message for tonight. We've got what? what's today, the 19th? Yeah, so we're over halfway, right? And you know, we got a couple of good days coming up next week, so that should help. And then when spring comes, oh boy, then the grass starts growing and you just can't get enough done. I like now I'm working inside on this floor, and believe me, it's not something I want to be doing. It just I don't, but I have to do it in order to get that store up and running. And as soon as that is up and running, then I need to find an upright refrigerator as a milk cooler. So if anybody knows where there is one or has one, I'm looking for one. I generally go to Marketplace and find stuff like that, and I just haven't done it, you know. Uh, but I do have a nice upright freezer in there that we got this winter. Found one on Marketplace, and it was close, and we got it. And we've got some chest freezers in there that, are full, ready to go, ready to start selling that stuff out of there. It is going, but I can see it going a lot quicker than it does now, and a lot more profitable. Oh, I today, like this morning, me and Frank milked. That was my day. And when we're all done, the way we do it is we're doing herd shares. So I'm matching up people on the list with the individual bottles of milk, and we do half-gallon jars of milk. And then I write their name on the lid, right? And so after I filled them all, it was like, wow, we got 8 extra gallons. There's 8 extra gallons of milk. And then it hit me that I need to be thinking about this. We need to be selling all of this milk, right? Or have some other way of dealing with it, and I can always feed it to the pigs, but they don't pay for it. They just drink it and they don't pay back, and they spill a lot too. So, I can do that, and that's sort of the last resort. But I came up to the house and I said, hey, I need everybody's brain power on this. What are we gonna do to get more people buying herd shares from us? What are we going to do? We really need to sell all this milk. And so there was a couple ideas, and people got to thinking about it. They're like, hey, Dad's concerned about this. And, so I spread my concerns with my business partners, my family. They're my business partners. Who knows? One of them might take over the dairy someday. And one of the ideas that came up was, well, we can do a post on Facebook, and it can be a post that shows up all the time, just like our friends down at Copperhead does. Every week shows up. This is just your daily reminder that you should be drinking raw milk. And I haven't done that. And so I said, Jill, can we do that? And she said, yeah, I'll work on it. So she did. Another thing, we put, and this is a little thing, but this thing that we do, this homesteading, small farm, holistic family farm that we do here, it's just a whole bunch of little components that fit together for something. So the other day I noticed there were 3 posts on my Facebook, and a lot of my Facebook friends are other farms, And so there was, let's see, Copperhead, Hidden Creek, and then Jeff Yarden. And I don't think I know him, but he's a friend of mine on Facebook, and they do milk too. And they all showed their milk in their cooler. And I noticed that they had some pretty nice presentation. Like Copperhead, they have nice bottles. Like they got scored a deal on a bunch of milk bottles, like real milk bottles with the handle grip on them. And they got a bunch of them. And then they got a really nice top made with their logo on top. It looks just like it used to look when I was a kid. And looks nice. You know, the top is foil and it's got the thing you push down in it, I suppose. And then Hidden Creek had a nice, I think it was a white plastic top on the mason jar with their logo on top. And the Yardens, theirs was just the standard top that comes with the ball jars. And I thought, well, of all of them, that one that looks the worst to me. It just looks worst. Mine looks a little better, but we talked to our friend Carrie Petrin. She's a tribe member. She listens to this sometime, and she does a lot of logo things for us. So actually, she designed our logo, and I put in an order for a 3-inch sticker to go on top of our plastic lid, and it's a special sticker that you can peel off and then you can put it right back on. It'll make it through the dishwasher, and you can write on it with a dry erase. So you can write the date on it or the name, whatever, and it's going to say Baker's Green Acres Raw Milk Dairy. And so, you know, just a little thing, but it made me feel good when I said, okay, we made a little bit of progress here, you know, on our milk thing. I will share this with you, just since I think I've got my point across about mental health and keeping one's mental health up. You got to eat right. You got to get plenty of sleep. On March Madness, you got to get plenty of sleep. And it's easy to not get sleep. Like, especially if you find solace in work. I a lot of times will just keep working and it's not fun. And I keep hoping, well, I'm going to get over a certain point and then I'll enjoy myself. Then I'll lose myself in my work. All of the things that I'm thinking about that are not good, you know, and I never quite get there. And then the tape measure will break or something, and I'll throw the thing and it just gets worse, right? So plenty of sleep, drink plenty of water. For me, plenty of water. Make sure this morning, I did not want to take my ice bath. Didn't want to do it. I looked out. It's gray. I still felt sleepy. I'm getting up later than I wanted to. Didn't feel good. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I know what I'll do. I'll just rebel and not do it. Well, I overcame that and I did it. And I was sure glad that I did. I think I'm going on 3 years right now, but it's an everyday thing for me and Jill. We stop right here, peel off, get right in, sit in there for 2-3 minutes, and then get out and you feel like a totally different person. You know, you like wanna actually live. So who do we got on here tonight? That's it. I'm just saying, take care of your mental health. And I'll go you one better. Be watching others in your group. It would probably be a good thing. I'm just thinking of this now. This is off the cuff. But I should probably get on the phone once in a while and call people. How you doing? You doing all right? I should do that. I think I'm going to start doing that. And I'm going to start with the people that are in the tribe. A lot of times I don't do that, and I probably should. Dave Duncan's with us. Right on. The ghost, mad as March here. Yep. All right. Let's see what Abundant Living is saying. Hey, you can join us in the tribe exclusive membership starting April 1st. Sign up on the website to get early bird opportunities. Join us. Okay. There you go. That's right from the boss. Keith is with us. I hope Keith's doing okay. I haven't heard from you in a while. Mushroom logs, or are we doing indoor thing? No, we just do logs. We do logs. And you know what? I need to get after that. I need to do that this week. I like to do a few every year. And it's a thing that we do. Me and the boys get together and we just drill out a bunch of logs and listen to tunes. It's fun. Hey, Brian Jacobs with us. Right on, man. Brian Jacob, I saw a post on one of Sean Kelly's uh, things that he put up of a hog harvest that they were doing down at his place, and it was a nice post. I would almost like to read it because Brian Jacob is just a really sentimental and very squishy, soft, nice guy. And he said this. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But it made me think because a lot of these guys have come to our hog harvest class. You have a lot of fun, and then it's over. and unless you're tuned up again, you don't get to come again unless you want to. You can. Brian Jacob, you can come as much as you want with cash money. I don't see it, but it was just, he was saying something like, I can hear the conversations now and the fun and the fellowship and all that stuff. It is really neat when you get together and you kill pigs and then you process them and then you're eating them and we eat together. And it's just the point of my life. You know, the farm is one thing, but it really is the people that makes it so special. Well, I don't see it here. I don't see it. But anyway, it was nice. Okay. Let's see what else we got. White Dog Farm. It's delicious. Must be talking about milk. Long time no see. Yeah. White Dog, who are you? Who are you? I'm not remembering your name. You're going to have to put it in there in the comments. I think Rebecca told me she will have a spot there. Oh, at the seed exchange, at the seedling exchange. I still like the term moo-legger. Yeah. Brian was coming and getting milk for a while and then bringing it down and dispersing it down in his neck of the woods, but it's kind of far. And, you know, the mystique of raw milk and its sketchy, you know, somewhat illegal, like the state police are staking me out to see if, and so you got to have a really fast, super fast car, you know, so you can run the state police. We got a load of raw milk here. We don't want them to get. Oh, there we go. White Dog talking about Amos Miller. You know, we probably should talk about that. Amos Miller, they said he can only sell 3 products produced from his raw milk. Department of Agriculture sticking their noses where they don't belong. Well, there's more to that story. All right. So when you hear a story like that, and I heard a guy by the name of Yansa, he always has these videos about, oh, they're closing farms down in Oregon, I heard today. And you only get part of the story. You only get part of the story. And like with the Amos Miller thing, really only part of the story gets out. And it's horrifying that the Department of Agriculture can come and look in your refrigerator and say, well, you can have this bottle of milk and this cheese here, but you've got too much butter. So this has got to be red tagged and we're going to take it away from you, you know. There's more to the story. And I know about the Amos Miller thing because I looked into it with several different sources. And you can imagine that I'm connected in this world. And I'm also connected with Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. I know their top lawyer there pretty well. And I called him and I said, what's going on here? And he's like, don't worry about it. I said, yeah, I know, but I'm not worried about it. But people in my tribe are worried about it. And I want to be able to smooth things out and have them know that what they are doing is okay, because we are good people. You know, that's the thing about American people. We're good people. We don't want to do anything illegal. Isn't that crazy? You know, the people that run our government, I wish they were like that. I wish they didn't want to do things that were illegal, that weren't. I wish they didn't want to do illegal things, but they do. But they insist that we follow the rules, right? So we get like that after a while. It's like you're looking around every corner, like, is there going to be some USDA guy there with a badge, and a gun that's gonna? It's not like that. It doesn't work that way. In his case, he was transporting milk, raw milk, across state lines. There is a federal law that prohibits that. There is a federal law that prohibits armed robbery. There's a federal law that prohibits the manufacture of methamphetamine, right? But there ain't no federal law saying you can't milk a cow and sell it to your neighbors. But there is one that says you can't take it across state lines. You got to live with that unless you can get your legislators to change that. And that's at a really high level, and it really won't. So distribute in the state that you're in. That's the workaround on that. Like, I have a town over here called Cadillac. It's 20 miles away. There's 10,000 people there. So why would I want to go to Alabama to sell my milk? But that's what he's doing, right? He's doing that. And they said to him, hey, you can't do this. And so he said, oh, okay. And he signed some paperwork saying he wouldn't do it, but then he kept doing it. And they were like, hey, and then they sent the U.S. Marshals there to have him sign paperwork to let him know, hey, we're serious about this, brother. Don't do this. He kept doing it. So you got to ask the question, why is he doing that? Does he need to do that? No. There's a lot of products that you can sell that don't violate laws, right? And I'm not talking regulations. I'm not talking about rules. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about laws, laws that were signed into law. A federal law is signed into law by the president, El Presidente. And I don't know which president signed it into law, but you got to live with it or change it. Just like the law that says that we have the right to own and bear arms. Now, there are people in our government that don't like that, and they'd like to take those arms from us, but they can't, because the law says, the Second Amendment, which is the supreme law of the land, that we, the citizens of the United States, have the right to own and bear arms. Why is it they don't like that? You got to wonder. Why is it that these stories are floating around about how badly Amos Miller's being treated? Why is that? Who benefits from that? The Department of Agriculture does there in Pennsylvania. Because I had a guy call me yesterday. This is a true story. You always like those stories when people start off, this is a true story. No, this is actually a true story. It's an Amish guy, lives down by Lansing, down by the state capitol. He's got 5 cows. He's milking his 5 cows, and he's doing herd shares, right? Herd shares are, they're not even legal in the state of Michigan. It's not legal. There is no law saying you can do herd shares. It isn't. It's kind of a workaround where we don't want to, the state says, oh, yeah, you can do herd shares. Tell you what, take me to court, state. Take me to court. Let's set some precedents here. Let me show you what the Fifth Amendment says. Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And see if that works. Because I know it will. But they don't want to do that. Because if we had 1,000 people in the state of Michigan that were milking 10 cows, making a good living doing that, it would benefit those farm families. But it would disbenefit somebody. And who would that be? And who represents that entity? All right, fill in the blanks. I don't need to say it. I say it all the time. I don't need to say it, right? So that's why you don't have the Department of Agriculture, putting out a circular, in the mail saying, hey, if you want to do this, you can, because the Fifth Amendment says that your life, liberty, and property is protected under the due process of law. So under that, if raw milk isn't illegal if it isn't put on the, the controlled substance roster, as an illegal substance. You can't produce it. You can't transport it. You can't, on and on. You can't possess it. You can't consume it. That's how it is with methamphetamine. You can't make it. You can't transport it. You can't possess it. You can't even use it. It's illegal. It is a controlled substance. If they did that with milk, then okay, I wouldn't be having this argument. It's like, I thought about armed robbery when I got out of the military. I was fully trained in all of the implements that I would need. It pays good. I would only have to work like 1 or 2 days a week probably. But there's this little thing about it being illegal. There is a law against that. And if you violate it and somebody catches you, you go to jail, right? You don't see anybody going to jail for raw milk. Like Amos Miller, he's not in jail. He's not set one foot in jail. He is soft pedaling this, and he's getting lots of publicity, and he knows better, right? He knows better, but it is benefiting him. It's also benefiting the Department of Agriculture because it scares people into not doing this, right? So I had this Amish dude call me yesterday, and he's like, hey, I'm a little concerned about this. And I said, how much do you sell your milk for? And he says, $6. Oh, yeah, you can do it cheaper, but you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Anyway, it's kind of hard to explain to Amish people things like this because they don't really acknowledge the U.S. Constitution. And I said to him, some people don't even think you're citizens of the United States, but it doesn't matter because you fall under the same protection because you're operating here. And I think what they would have to do is first prove that you're not a U.S. citizen, and then they could pinch you. But they'd probably give you a cell phone and a credit card with $10,000 on it. That's probably what they do, and put you up in the hotel, right? So anyway, I had to talk him through the whole thing, but he was really concerned. And here's how it happened to him. Here's what happened to him. This is good to know because this is how these people operate. And in the past, I have called them the enemy. And maybe that's a little hard. Maybe that's a little hard because when you call somebody an enemy, it kind of denotes, especially if someone is a professional soldier at one point in their life, the enemy is somebody that you kill, right? Because they're wearing the wrong uniform. That's it. Wrong uniform, bang, see ya. And it's justified. I don't agree with it anymore, but I mean, that's how that looks. I mean, that's that connotation if you use the word enemy. Especially somebody like me saying enemy, I don't. So I probably that was a little hard, and I'm going to back away from that. But they don't represent us as small producers. They don't represent us. They just don't. Like we don't send contributions to their training facility where they get trained, where industrial agriculture certainly does, and they get trained at various places. But I don't make donations to the university. I just don't. Like, I didn't go there. Why would I? They don't benefit me. They don't come up here and tell me how to do stuff, and they don't put out, good material that benefits me. So why would I? But the people that represent industrial agriculture don't represent us. They don't represent us. As a matter of fact, we take market share from industrial agriculture. So like I am on track to be milking 10 cows, and that will equal X amount of families that will not be buying milk from Aldi's or Walmart. And that milk comes from other industrial farms. Not very likely that it even comes from this state. Most likely it doesn't. We don't know where it comes from. It just shows up there, and well, it comes from a cow, I guess. So they purposely keep it a little nebulous, so you are apprehensive to get into this. Where, okay, let's say that you buy a farm and the farm has haying equipment, and you're going to cut hay and you're going to sell the hay. You don't even stop to think, well, I wonder if I should check with the health department before I sell this. Do I need a permit to sell this? Do I need a mother may I from the Department of Agriculture? You don't even think like that. But we've been kind of trained. They're constantly training you that, well, when it comes to milk and raw meat, then you have to have permission from us. Well, really, you don't. They have a set of rules. And if you run to them for permission and they write you a permission slip, they're saying, it'll be okay with us so long as you follow these rules. And their rules make it kind of like, well, I don't think I want to do this. I don't want to work for you guys. Because their rules, well, it's got to be pasteurized for sure before you sell it. Well, if we pasteurize it, then when the kids drink it, they get the scoots. Well, yeah, but it's safe then. Yeah, but the kid's got diarrhea. The kid's going to die of scours here. Whereas when they drink raw milk, they like the taste of it and their eyes sparkle. Well, that eye sparkling thing, you want to be careful of that. It's like vitamin C. So that's how they're trained, and they're never gonna go with us in this movement. But this is how they did it to him. They found out he was doing herd shares, and they showed up at his house, and they said, "Could we have a word with you?" They're asking for permission to exchange ideas with him, exchange information with him. And he said, yes. So that gave them the go-ahead to say, how are you? It's a question. And he said, I'm fine. I don't know if this is how it went, but this is generally how it goes. We understand you're milking cows. Is that true? And he's thinking, oh boy, this is about my cows. This must be about my herd shares. I hope I dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's on my contracts. And he says, well, yes, I am. But I'm doing herd shares. And he's given information. He's given them information that they don't inherently know, right? They can't know the information. So he's giving up information to them. But they asked him if they could talk with him. And the questioning keeps going. Would you mind if we looked at your milk house? Well, he figures that he has to, right? Because they're driving a state car and it's black and they've got their lab coats on probably and clipboards. And if they really mean business, they've got hair nets on. And so he says, well, yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem. So they go in there and, oh, do you know that, this pressure treated post here, that your cow could nibble on that and it could make him sick. I don't know if that happened, but that's what they do. They kind of pick your operation apart and put you on the defensive. And then they kind of, herd shares. Okay. Are you doing anything else with the milk? And he says, well, we make some cheese. And they say, oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And he says, oh, okay. And anything else? I'm making butter and sharing it with my customers, selling it to my customers, sharing, selling, whatever. The customer gets it. They compensate the farm for it. Oh, no, we can't do that. You can't do that. Per our regulations, you can't do that. And he's like, oh. And then at the end of the conversation, they put a piece of paper in his face that they had signed and said, would you sign here? And he felt like he had to sign it. He's like, doesn't know. And so he signs it. And what it is a cease and desist. They wanted him to cease and desist making butter. Two of them, two inspectors. They really put him on the spot. And, he did it. He signed it. So in effect, he agreed. They're putting a contract in front of his face saying, here's what we want. We want you to stop doing this. And he signed an agreement saying that he would. It was a bad move. So now they've kind of got him to where he's agreed not to do it. Where if we back the tape up to the beginning of the confrontation, the beginning of well, not a confrontation, the beginning of the exchange, if they said, we'd like to talk to you, and he said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk to you. And they would probably say, well, why is that? Because I don't want to. It would have ended right there. If they continue to blab, he should just, say, I'm sorry, you got to leave. And then they can't gather any evidence against him that they can kind of twist and put you on the defensive. But the reality here is the Fifth Amendment is really clear. Like, it wouldn't be a bad idea to put out in front of your farm. You don't have to. You don't have to explain this to them. You just don't. You just say, no, thank you. Run along. Don't you have some dusting to do or some hairnets to adjust or something else? Run along. And sometimes they can be aggressive. Well, they love this one. But anyway, before I get into that, if he'd have just said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to speak with you, then they got nothing. They have no reason to be there. And then he could say, I'd like you to leave. This is private property. That's the end of it. And please don't come back. If you would like to correspond with me, send me an email, which I think is really funny for an Amish guy to say that. It'd be like me saying, if you want to correspond with me, the only way that I correspond with the Department of Agriculture is via carrier pigeon. So that's it. If you want to correspond with me, send a pigeon and I'll get back to you, right? But I'm not going to correspond with them. They have nothing to offer me as a farmer. Nothing. They've never offered anything except do this, don't do this, sign this contract. And I'm not going to do any of that. And if you don't do that, then you're not beholden to them. You never allow them into your organization. You don't work for them. They don't have authority on private property. They have zero. But if you sign a contract with them, you're actually giving them authority. That's what they want. And they would like it if all of us farmers had to be under their thumb. They would like that. Don't ever do that. Don't ever sign a contract with them. Don't ever think that you're going to get something out of it, because you never do. They offer nothing. They just kind of offer permission, right? And then this came up with him. I don't know if this will be of any help to anybody. I've never actually used this, but I certainly would in the future. Say this is let's say my situation. I'm on Baker's Green Acres. My position here is president. I am the CEO. I am the top. I'm the owner, and I am the top administrator, right? And my wife is the CFO. It's not a lesser position, but I am the one. I am the spear catcher, right? Anybody that wants to talk to this farm in an official capacity, they have to talk to me. There's nobody else to talk to. They can't talk to my children. They can't talk to my animals, my dogs. They can't talk to my wife. They have to talk to me, right? So let's say that some wiener did come up the driveway, and I might even like troll them in and get them to say something that I can hurt them with, I can really hurt them with, because I would like to, uh, and I'll explain why I would like to punish them for their actions. Um, if they were to say something to me about, um, well, we want to talk to you about what you're doing here and how it's affecting the community. Let's say I sent out a bunch of milk and people died. Let's say, um, which we've never even had a complaint on our milk. We had a complaint about a bottle that wasn't clean one time, and we made it right with the people. They complained to us. Actually, they didn't complain. They just said, "Hey, this bottle wasn't clean. Maybe you should look at this." Me and Jill got 2 new bottles. We drove up to Kingsley and we replaced them. And we had a nice conversation with the lady, and she said, "You didn't have to do that." I said, "No, we want to have a good record here in the community. We do things right." So, but let's say that happened, and the Department of Agriculture felt like they need to get involved with this, and they said, "We would like to talk to you." And I would probably say something like, "Well, I'm the president here, so why don't you have somebody of a commensurate position within your organization contact me, and I will speak with him or her." I'm not saying I won't speak to you, but you're a lowly field agent, just out of your indoctrination center. You don't get to talk to me, unless it's, "Hi, how you doing?" That's it. You don't get to ask me questions. If you want to question me, it needs to be somebody of a equal or greater rank than me. So I was appointed to this position. This might bug people, but I was appointed to this position by God, right? I'm the head of household for a family farm. How is it that I'm this position and my son isn't? Well, I mean, I didn't get to say when I was born. I didn't get to say, "Okay, well, we're gonna have children." That was out of my purview. This is something that was ordained, right? So, who appoints the director of the Department of Agriculture? The governor. It's an appointed position. So I only talk to the director. That's it. Unless you want to talk about, if let's say there was an inspector that was worth a damn, as far as the processes that we're involved in, and let's say they were helpful people. Let's say they were decent people and weren't, just regulators, like let's say that they stop by every now and then with literature on better ways to do things, which they don't. Then it would be a different story. "Hey, Mark, can I have a word with you?" Yeah, maybe he's got something that I can use. Maybe I'm interested in his family. Maybe he's interested in, maybe our kids go to school together, something like that. Maybe, but that's not the case. If it was the case, then maybe, but it's not the case. And I've never seen it be that case. I've always seen it be they weasel their way in, and then they try to fool you into signing a contract. Sounds familiar, don't it? And then people get intimidated and they do it. And then they wind up working for somebody else because the contract is always written in favor of the person that's putting it in your face and trying to fool you into doing it. If it worked in our favor, let's say they came with a contract and it was, "Yeah, we're going to be, this contract states that we will have oversight over this farm, but you will benefit by $6,000 per month. We will be paying it out to you. Oh, plus we'll be supplying you with really nice uniforms." Oh, and a take-home vehicle. Oh, well, that might be worth doing business with them. But as it stands right now, it's not worth doing business with them. They are not the Department of Agriculture. They are the Department of Anti-Agriculture, because industrial agriculture has been on the downward slope since it was put in play in the United States. It has destroyed agriculture. Agriculture should be thousands of family farms, because then you have a web of security, food security, right? A centralized food system, I mean, you've got tremendous possibility for problems, or sabotage or greed. That's probably the biggest thing that kills industrial agriculture, is greed. So, yeah, you got to be prepared for that if you're going to be doing milk shares or anything else that you're doing. If you want to run a butcher shop on your farm, usually anything that's profitable, they want to weasel their nose into, because there's somebody that they represent that doesn't want you taking market share away. So it really does come down to making gains. And if you're making good gains, oh, that gets their attention, because remember, there ain't no money in farming, right? Remember that one. Who puts that one out? That is one of those things that they say over and over and over. And it's not true. It's not true. There is a good gain in farming. As a matter of fact, George Washington was a farmer first, and he was a good soldier and a good leader of men. I guess that's what the books say. But he was a farmer first, and he felt, as well as Thomas Jefferson and many others of our founding fathers, that the only place to create wealth, the only was farming, was agriculture. So, with that, I'll see if there's any comments. But you know what? I got to take a break. I can't believe this. I sat down and I've been wolfing this water down. I got to take a break. I don't know if you guys want to hang on. I'll come back and read the comments, and I can go a little bit longer. But if you do put comments in here, it does affect the algorithm. And if you give likes too, thumbs ups, that does. But I got to take a quick break here. I'll be right back. I do have something else that I need to pass on. Okay. Whew. That was getting rough. I feel like I was riding in a car as like a 5-year-old. I drank a lot of water today. I smoked a cigar today too. That helps. I had a good one, a real good one. All right, so let me read some of these. I'll back up a little bit. Okay, I did comment on the Amos Miller thing, so that's enough there. Let me tell you something, though. That never would have happened if he never had an exchange with them. But they had the right to question him because he was sending raw milk across state lines. Law. You can't break laws. Cats are nice, emotional support cats. Okay. Cats are delicious. Okay. Inga's asking, does Jill freeze dried mushrooms? Not yet, because we haven't had any since she got her freeze dryer. Keith is saying, I need to give you a call about the steel. I hope somebody else didn't get it. Just wondering how that turned out, Jill. Yeah, okay, she will. I think she's going to make more videos about freeze drying, and I'm pretty sure she will because she's pretty geeked about it. Okay, White Dog. Okay, we haven't met. All right. It sounded like maybe we had, but maybe you ought to go to. Well, what state are you in? Is if you're close, you should go to the Mitten Homestead conference. Oh, Inga says I'm moving to the farm soon, building a prefab building, bigger farm store up front, and me in the back. Right on. Oh, so you're going to be the proprietor, I hope. Yeah, that sounds cool. Okay, Brian, this is his comment. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Even not being to one of your classes, but having been to many different harvest courses, I already feel I know the folks pictured. I can hear the good times. Yeah. That gives me chills. Gives me chills. Yeah. We did have fun. We got a lot more fun to have. He can make a lot of money off his story, maybe. Yeah, that's kind of the information that came back to me was kind of like that. You know, he knows what he's doing. He does. And he's not going to go too far. They're not going to take his birthday from him. But I talked with Pete Kennedy. I think I told you about this last week or maybe the week before. If you want to milk cows in Michigan, go for it. If you feel worried about it, let's talk about it on the Wednesday night Zoom call, and I'll fill you in everything that I know. But there is no danger at all. Ghost is saying, I just described the Hooterites up here. Guys wearing old-fashioned coats with hooks and eyes would pull up to our warehouse in Dodge pickups carrying cell phones. Yeah, Hooterites are out west. Around here, they're well, it's different clans, but we have Amish here, and then they have Mennonites, and they all kind of have their thing. Oh, we drive cars, but only with black bumpers on them. You know, it's weird. You know. Oh, Luann's with us. Never asked for permission. Right on, sister. Wait, it's okay to transport industrial milk, but not raw milk. Is that because the store-bought milk isn't even milk when they're done with it, homogenized and pasteurized? You know, that's a good point. If raw milk were illegal, like if it was a controlled substance, would I be a target as somebody who is milking 5 cows? Or would my neighbor up there that's milking 2,500 cows and sending out semi-loads of raw milk? Because it leaves there raw. Oh, the state police, they could have a SWAT team on that. They could make a big bust, big raw milk bust. See, you know, that's it. And then if it were illegal, then I guess my cows would be illegal too. They'd be like paraphernalia. It'd be like having a marijuana rolling papers. That's like paraphernalia. And I suppose that puts hay on the chopping block too, because that's what you feed cows. Oh, it gets pretty hairy. Yeah, no, raw milk is not illegal. There are some stupid laws, but they don't hold up in court. They're just made so people would say, well, there is a law against transporting raw milk, or not transporting, selling raw milk to the end user. But it's not going to work in court. And I don't think anybody would pursue that, because they would lose in court and set a massive precedence. So let's say that the Department of Agriculture said, well, we're going to get that Mark Baker because we don't like him talking bad about us. Let's sue him over his raw milk. Game on, girls. Game on. Let's do this, right? We'll get lots of publicity, and then everybody will know. They don't want that, because then the cat's out of the bag. They will take you right up until the 11th hour. And then they'll say, no, case dismissed. Sort of like what Big Benny's doing to President Trump. Okay, David Duncan. I hate when you see those bureaucrats show up looking like Delta Force. Family in Vermont was raised 20 or so years ago. USDA claimed their dairy sheep had mad cow. I remember that. But there again, if they had just proceeded properly, like just go through the basics. I have the right to free speech. I have the right to not say anything to these people. Second Amendment, that shouldn't come into play, hopefully. However, I've told you guys that I had some USDA people show up here one time. 2 men. It was over a labeling dispute, right? They drove in here in a police interceptor, right? You know what that is? That's Ford used to make them out of Crown Victorias, and they hopped them up, and they looked cool, like they were hopped up. And it was an interceptor. It was a police interceptor, and they were both wearing suits. And they acted very unprofessional, though, and it was about a labeling thing, and they were trying to get me to sign a piece of paper saying that I wouldn't do it anymore. Well, we had caught the labeling problem before the products went anywhere, and we had straightened it out, but I wasn't going to sign anything. But during that exchange, they were on my property, and because of their unprofessional nature, I said, are you boys armed? And they did not like my use of the word boys, if you know what I mean. And I did it on purpose. And they said, that's none of your business. And I said, oh, well, then I'll be right back. Right? What was I going to do? Like, if you come on my property from some agency, some weenie agency like USDA, armed, well, then I guess I will arm up too. How do you like that? Because I have more right to carry a weapon on this property than you do. And if you think you're going to intimidate me because you're armed and I'm not, that's not going to work. Matter of fact, I think it's going to work the other way around. So the Second Amendment does come into play here, because when push comes to shove, we have equal authority in this process of governing ourselves, right? Because we are governed by consent. They are not our masters by any means, right? So second come into it. Third Amendment, not really, because Third Amendment states that they can't put soldiers in my home unless we're in time of war, right? Fourth Amendment, those gentlemen came on my property, did not warrant. They drove up the driveway. Had I told them leave, they have to. And if they don't, then I'm calling 911. I got 2 individuals on my property, claim they're from the USDA, but I don't care. I want them off, and they won't leave. And that's a 911 call right there. And that's a police report, actually, right? So I had no contract with them. I didn't have to submit to any of their rules at the time. I wound up having a contract with them because of that. Ghost says, no money in farming. Sounds good. The tax man can stay away then. Yeah, well, I smoked a good first one in 10 years. Yeah. I got to be careful because I like cigars. And I like good cigars. They have to be good. All right, Keith, I'll be talking to you. We'll get that done. We'll get that moved. I got that trailer's tied up right now, but I can get it untied. All right. New Hampshire, not that close. All right. Well, nothing like a road trip. If one of my members comes to do a pickup and they drive in across state lines, it's on the member, not the farmer. Well, now that is different. That is different. That is different. Okay. But I shouldn't talk about that because I'm not absolutely sure. But let's say that you're going on a road trip with your family and you take a bottle of raw milk with you and you cross state lines. That is your property. And you're not selling it across state lines. So if somebody comes to your place in New Hampshire, I'm from Massachusetts, and they buy milk from you, it becomes their property. And they can take their property across state lines. But you can't take it across into Mass and sell it. That's how it's a commerce law, right? Yeah, so they'd be okay. They'd be okay. I could just see if they get pulled over by the state cops for a tail light out or something, and they throw their raw milk out. The cop be like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Probably be some Italian that would F-bomb them and everything. David Duncan says, "You are 100% correct, Mark." Thanks, David. About what? The family with the sheep played along with USDA and got burned. Absolutely right. That is their goal. Their goal is not to support you. Their goal is to burn you. So by even saying, "Are you having a good day? How are you doing today?" "I'm doing good." That's more information than they need. They don't need any information from you. It's an agency, right? It's an agency, just the same as if somebody from Walmart came up with property, says, "We'd like to have a word with you." Yeah. Okay. Put in an email. That's funny with the Amish guy. Yeah, put it in email. Send me an email. Do you have a computer? No. It was a cheap gas station cigar. Oh, no, don't do that. Yeah. White Dog. Yeah. If you look at his website, and I did this because I wanted to get some pricing on raw milk. See, I have customers downstate, and I don't have time to run milk down there. It wouldn't matter how much milk it was. I don't have time to do that. And they don't have time to come to me. But the UPS man goes there every day. Like, he can get milk there overnight, right, to them. And so I said, "Okay, well, I'll put it in half gallons, jugs, and I'll freeze it. And then we'll put it in a box and send it to you." He said, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." So I wanted to figure out, well, how much are other people paying to do this? Because that's going to be expensive. And it turns out by the time his milk was delivered to him, 2 gallons of milk, it was $28 per gallon. Yeah. $28 per gallon. So it was 12 for the milk, and then the rest was shipping. Yeah, but he was glad to get it because he couldn't get it otherwise. So people do ship milk, and Amos Miller ships it all over the place. And something else that you need to know about Amos Miller, he is what's called an aggregator. He's an aggregator, right? So he lives in Pennsylvania, Lancaster County. It's a big Amish. I mean, there's more buggies on the roads than there are cars. And so everybody there is doing agricultural things, and they sell the milk to him, and then he resells it. Same thing with everything else that he sells. He sells, you name it, he sells it. So he's an aggregator. He's got warehouses that he sells out of. And then he's got a bunch of Amish gals working for him. I met him one time down in Detroit at a Weston Price thing. And he's actually older than me. White Dog is saying, I pay $6 for a half gallon. Seems to be the going rate. Yeah. Yeah. And that puts it at $12 a gallon. I know around here, down closer to the state capitol and over by Ann Arbor, they're at 15. They're at 15. I guess I could, but I think that it's fair to make the margin that you need. And then if it's priced to sell, then you have a steady flow. Like you want to look at your farm business as a flow of things, and then the flow gets thicker and thicker and thicker as it flows, and then you can take more off of it, off of that flow. You don't want it to be a choppy flow, you know. And like I sell pigs, I sell wiener pigs, and that's choppy because they don't sell all the time. I sell grown pigs, and that's choppy too. And then we butcher them and we put the products in the store, and that's choppy. It smooths out a little bit there, right? But it's still good. Before I forget, a guy called me, a guy that I've known for 20 years here, and he lives north of me in a town called Mansalona. And I'm not a realtor, and this guy isn't even a tribe member, but I figured I'd pass this on because some people in the tribe may benefit from this. But him and his wife are getting on, and they want to sell their farm. It's 44 acres. I've been there. I've been in the house. It's a nice place. He is a professional turkey grower, and it's all set up. They have the markets, you know, and he wants to sell. And he called me yesterday and said, could you put it out to your people and see if anybody's interested? And I said I would. If anybody is interested in taking over a turkey farm with the markets in place, I mean, this guy makes a living on it, and he has for a long time. It's a nice place. You would call me first, and then I'll talk to you about it. And then if you make it through me, then I'll give you his phone number, right? Because there's certain things you got to know, right? And I don't think it could be a good starter farm for somebody because he's willing to stay on for a year and train people. But it's a start to finish operation. He buys his poults, his little ones, but they are grown out there. He's got a feed supplier. He's got all the feed handling equipment. He's got all the barns. I've gone past there, and you see hundreds of them out on pasture. It's a beautiful sight. So he's got a really good system, and he's got the markets too. He's got 2 big accounts that he supplies. And, you know, it could be a good thing for somebody to get into. It could be. White Dog says, my Jersey is bred, so won't be buying milk soon. All right. Good for you. Crunchy Mama, welcome. Hey, we were talking about you before. He says, I'm going to get ready to make some money in farming. Live beef prices are going through the roof. Wow. You know, I think I said this before. Maybe I didn't share this with you, and I don't know how much this means, but the gal that told me this, it meant something to her. She showed up here last week. She's a new herd share member. And Jill says to him, well, we'd kind of like it if you come by and see how we do things. You know, that way they see the operation. And if they still want to get milk from us, then they're not going to be surprised when somebody tells them that, oh, you know, They don't even have concrete in their milk house. They milk on fresh, brand new straw in there. You know, to non-farm people, that might be like, oh, is that clean? Well, it's actually a lot cleaner than concrete because, you know, concrete, you'd have to wash it down every day when you're done, or else you're going to have frozen urine all over the floor. So this is a lot better. But I like people to see. Anyway, she was here. Real nice, 30-ish, 34-ish, maybe. Two nice little healthy-looking kids. And it's very pleasant. And I said to her, you know, how come you want to get raw milk? Because I kind of want to know, you know, like I kind of want to feel them out a little bit. Because we don't have to do business with everybody. We're not an equal opportunity business at all. If people seem like they're going to be kind of froggy, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. But she was real nice. And anyway, she said to me that she is real concerned with the food system and that raw milk is trending on TikTok. So there again, we have the Chinese behind this again, right? So maybe the Chinese are at odds with the Department of Agriculture. That'd be great. So that doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but for her age group, that's biblical, you know. That's it. That's gospel right there. So she wants raw milk. All right. And great. Do any of your friends want? Oh, yeah. I've got a lot of girlfriends that have kids and they want raw milk too. Excellent. Yeah. And my mom gets raw milk from me. She says so. So I know what you're saying, Sean. I think that small farming is going to be, well, it makes me feel good that you're doing it too. Like, because I think that you were a lot more calculated than I was getting into it. Like, and you're a real live businessman. You know, you've made your mark on the world. So you wanting to get into what I'm doing, you know, Sean's the guy that I kind of offered to let him come here and butcher chickens with us, and boy, would I! And I had to take his temperature, make sure he's all right. David Duncan says, needs some good old hot rods to run the moolah. Yeah. If anybody wants to do me a favor, get me a 1970 Chevelle 396 with a 4-speed. Yeah, and I want headers on it too, right? Green. That'll be what I deliver in. No, I guess I told you about this, but I am looking in the rear view mirror at what worked. And in the town that I lived in, Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, there was a man that came, I think once a week. I really don't remember that well. You know, I wasn't the one that ordered it, but had a yellow step van, small. The door was open all the time, and the guy would set the brake and then reach behind him, grab the milk, and come walking down the driveway and put the milk in there was a box there that had their logo on it. Lundgren and Janitis was the name of the dairy. And I don't know if they were an aggregator or they were a dairy. I really don't know. I was thinking about asking my oldest sister about it because she went to school with those kids. But they delivered the milk, and then he picked up the old bottles and took them. So I'm thinking that if I had a van like that, which they're around, and we were willing to go door to door and deliver milk, I wonder how that would work out. I wonder if I think it would take a little while for it to catch on, but I think it would. And then we could put a flyer in the milk saying, hey, you know, we have hamburger too. Hey, we have pork sausage too. Hey, we have, you know, whatever. Maybe that would catch on. An idea. And I even went and looked at some vehicles actually at John Spears. And there was a nice one there that would have really worked good. But then when I figured it all out, the payment would be this and the insurance and all this. And we would have to. So we said, well, let's just use the vehicle that we have to prove the concept. And if it starts to work out, then yeah, let's get another vehicle to do it. And so I called John yesterday. Hey, do you want milk at the garage? He's got a automotive maintenance place in Cadillac. That's a town that we deliver into, and a used car lot. And he's a friend, and he's done a lot of work for me and stuff. And so I called him. Do you want milk? Yeah. So we delivered milk to the garage. So he's our first delivery, door-to-door delivery. Angus says, TikTok milk. White Dog says, ban TikTok because China is stealing information, but it's perfectly fine to let them buy up our farmland. You know, I don't even know if China exists. I think it might be a figment of our imagination. I don't really know. And I don't have the bandwidth to care anymore. I know more Americans that are getting into farming than I know Chinese that are getting into farming. All right. And the Chinese have never come to my place and asked me if they could buy it. When they do, if they do, I will let you know. But they haven't. All right. Ooh, that's sacrilege. Don't even talk about paint the muscle car like a Holstein. A 70s Chevelle painted up like a Holstein. No, I wouldn't drive that. I wouldn't drive that. No. No, I have in my mind how I want it to look. I just want to have our logo on the side and then raw milk dairy, and drive around with it. Like, well, I thought raw milk was illegal. I thought you had to do that on the slide. Well, I'm not, come and get me. Yeah, it's like the other side of the globe. See, that's why I'm kind of skeptical if China actually exists, because when I was a little kid, they used to tell us that if you dig long enough, you'll come up on the other side of the world in China. And we used to have these really in-depth conversations about, yeah, but at a certain point, will I fall through? Or when I'm just about to break through on the other side, wouldn't I fall back the other way? I don't know. I never dug far enough, but we used to put our heads down there. I swear I think I can hear some Chinese talking down there. I swear I can. Okay, Nick Arthur. Ooh. What do you think about people from the city thinking about moving to the country? I think it's good. Because they are the ones that I've met, the ones that, like, we run a chicken processing business here, and people come to the country and they're like, okay, what do I got to do? And then one of the first things that they encounter is, okay, I'll raise some meat birds, and then they have to get them processed. So they look around and they find Baker's Green Acres, and they do processing. So we get to talk to them, and I will say, oh, so where are you guys from? And, well, we're from Minneapolis. And I'll say, oh, you're refugees, huh? And they'll be like, yeah. They get what I'm saying. Like, they escaped from there, because it's not just that they have a fence around it. It's a financial escape. If you work in the metropolitan areas, you're making big dollars. So then you move out to the perimeter and you get a job working at the co-op. And it's like, it pays $12 an hour. And you were making $60 an hour working in the metro city. But your kids were, the direction that your kids were going. And so you were sacrificing your kids for the big paycheck. which really wasn't a big paycheck because everything else was commensurate with the pay scale. Like I found that when I moved of Massachusetts, I was working for a fueling company, right? This is after I finished, well, I was in school and then I finished school and I went full time fueling airplanes. And then I was making, I think I was making $11 an hour, which at that point was pretty good. I was doing okay. I had my hot rod. I had everything I needed. I was still staying at my parents' house. I'd finished school. And then I got a job working in California for Lockheed Aircraft Company. And they started me out at $14 an hour or something like that, $15 an hour. And I was like, you're kidding. So I went out there and I was getting these fat paychecks, but then I was splitting an apartment with two other guys, a 1-bedroom apartment with two other guys. And I was paying like $300 for that. And it was probably more than we needed, but it had a pool and a jacuzzi, and we terrorized that place. Yep, we terrorized that place. So it was commensurate. I didn't do a whole lot better working for that company. Yeah, I mean, I did. Yeah, I did. And then I moved up quick, but still everything costs more. So I don't mind people coming from the city out. Generally, they are seeking instruction, and they're like, well, now and then we'll get one. I can think of one right now that asks me questions on how to do things. They're brand new. And when I tell them, this is how you do it, they try to tell me, well, that's not what I read on the internet. And so after a while, I just say, well, maybe you need to buy some consulting. And then if you're paying me to tell you how to do it, you better listen to me or go to the internet. I had to use all sorts of tricks to advertise on Facebook for milk. It worked, though. Well, I do it. I put it right out there. It's usually other people. Like if you want to run kind of just an experiment, there's a site, a page called Michigan Homesteaders. And I don't think I'm on there. I think they finally kicked me off, but it seemed like a pretty good site. It was sort of like the Tribe has become. And people shared things on there, how to do things. And, hey, I got this. Do you want this? And they didn't let like vendors on. It was pretty good. And I would put a post up of milk and I'd say, I've got raw milk for sale. Call me, and it would be the other people that were trying to save me from my wayward ways of they'll shut your farm down. They'll take your firstborn. They'll confiscate your oh, I had a great story. I probably shouldn't tell this story though. No. It's another story of Department of Agriculture wanting to get in people's business, and somebody I know that does a drop, and it's far away. It's not in Michigan. And the drop is at a coffee shop, and the coffee shop owner is their friends, and they have a fridge there, and people come in, get coffee, and then they get their milk and they go. Well, the Department of Agriculture waltzed in there and they put red tape all over it. And then some sort of cease and desist. And the people, they like tore the tape off, crumpled up the thing, took their milk. And it's like, you got to go after the customers, and the people are just not having it. Not at all. It's like, I did it. What are you going to do? Pretty funny. People are getting kind of ganky right now as far as these, trust the science people. Right. All right. White Dog says, It's fine as long as they don't vote to turn where they're leaving from into where they move to. Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, and I know where you are in New Hampshire. I'm from Mass. I'm from Shrewsbury, and my stomping grounds were in New Hampshire because we would go up there and it's spread out and like you could well, I was a wild youth. Um you could buy up there. You could buy, like when I was growing up, the drinking age was 18, right? So we would go up there and you could go to these little stores and you could be 15 and they'd sell you beer, you know, and they didn't care, you know, and we would, so we went and plus I skied a lot. So we used to go to a lot of the skiing places up there and just terrorize the place. And you would probably have hated us, right? Because, but I really liked New Hampshire. I thought even of leaving here at one point and going there because I like it there. I like Maine too, but it just never came. We even went to New Hampshire and looked at a property there. Forget the name of the town, but it was a big farm. And New Hampshire had changed. Like we saw lots and lots of police vehicles around, and it was just not like it used to be. Of course, in Massachusetts, it's like a police state. You see so many patrol cars. Oh, terrible. So any of the things that we used to do, can't do anymore. No, not at all. I remember, here's a good story about New Hampshire. I went into a store. I was on vacation. We were staying at Great East Lake. I really shouldn't have been on vacation. I was just there for like 4 days. Some friends of mine rented a cabin, and there was a bunch of us, and we were staying at this lake and just whooping it up and water skiing and stuff. Went into the store to buy beer, and the guy says, "Have you got some ID?" And I said, "Well, I don't have it on me." I said, "But I'm 21," and I was probably 18. No, I couldn't have been. I couldn't have been old enough to buy. Oh, I know what it was. They changed it. They changed it from 18 to 20. And so I could buy, but then it changed and I couldn't. But I tried anyway. And I told the guy, but I said to him, but I'm 21. And he says, "You look borderline to me." So, White Dog, you probably know what borderline means. But for those of you who are not from New England, it's translated into borderline. Well, you look borderline to me, son. But when you're up from around there, the word borderline, what did he say? He said borderline. You look borderline to me. Oh. Yeah. I used to have a really heavy accent too. When I talk to people from home and then I get off the phone, my kids will say, "What? What did you say?" Yeah. I got to keep up with these comments here before I wound up getting borderline. There was another thing that happened. I was with a bunch of my friends from Boston, and they were really city guys, and I'm from like Shrewsbury, which used to be a small town. It's not anymore, and we went into the store, and there's all these guys sitting around a wood stove, and you can get stuff, and my friend from Mike Sweeney, his name, he's from Swan. Oh, where's he from? Roslindale in Boston. And he says, he's trying to make conversation with these guys. And he says, "So, is the hunting any good around here? Around here?" And this old boy says, "It was last night." Like night has a couple of syllables. Night. It was last night. I think he was doing a little poaching. Okay, Brian says, okay. White, okay. Inga, only problem is that the city folks have driven up real estate in rural areas to crazy prices. That's true. That's true. But they've driven my property values up as well. I mean, if we were to leave here, we would go someplace where it's even more rural. Jill and I would. I do not search. I do a search of raw milk safe, and I would like to hear that it is safe. Well, take it from me. It's safe. And I certify what I say. So any milk that you get from me is certified as safe. And you can take that to the bank. Well, I'm curious. Maybe you have covered this, but I would assume most people that would like to learn how to farm would not have a bunch of money or property. Well, I'm curious. Maybe you have covered this, but I'm not. But I would assume that most people that would like to farm learn how to farm would not have. Well, some of them don't. Some of them don't, but some of them do. Because let's say that you sell a house that you've got paid off. Let's say you're 45 years old and you've got a house that's paid for in the city and you sell it for $500,000. You come out here, you can buy a really nice home for 200,000, and with land. And then what? You don't know anything. But then there are people that leave the city like with the clothes on their back, and for them it's tough. It's tough. They got to get low-paying jobs out here, and it is tough. It is tough. Inga, Nick Arthur. Mark has had some pretty wealthy people going to farming. We sure have. We sure have. I had a guy that came here to one of our classes and said, I want to buy some pigs. And I said, well, how many do you want? And he says, I think I'd like to get started with 10. I said, okay, there's a livestock hauler over here. He can bring them down to you. And then I got to thinking, maybe I'll take those pigs down myself. He was in Indiana. And I was talking to him on the phone. I said, yeah, we'll make kind of a little vacation out of it. I'll take my kids. We'll take our trailer and put them in the van or behind the van, and we'll bring them down. And I said, we'll get a hotel room down there, and so my kids can go swimming in the pool. And he says, well, I got a pool. And this was November. And I said, oh, okay. Is it an indoor pool? I says. And he says, yeah. And he says, there's plenty of room. You can stay there. Okay. We got down there. This guy lived in a mansion. And it wasn't too long after that, I flew on his jet down to Joel Salatin's place. Because he said, let's go down there and see what he's doing. Yeah. So there are wealthy people that are getting into farming. Because I suppose if you've gone the gambit in business and you see just how shallow it is, and then you're like 60 years old and you want to live life, and not the office and the weird suits and the weird shoes and everything, and you just want to dress in play clothes every day like I do. White Dog, I'm up in the Lakes region. Up here we call Mass people Flatlanders. You call them something else too. They call them massholes. And I get why. I really do. Massachusetts people are hard people. They really are hard people. They're kind of demanding. Yeah. They're Yankees is what they are. My father used to call them Yankees. They really are. And they make stuff happen, At least that's how it was when I was a kid. I don't know. It's changed a lot now. When I went to my town, Like it was like every third person I saw was Indian, and didn't speak English. And I'm not talking American Indian. I'm talking like India Indians, like Covey. So it's changed. Ghost says, yeah, I got no cash or property, but I'm keeping everything I learned for one day, even if that day never comes. Well, chin up, lad. Chin up. Things can change. I mean, I wasn't born with it. It was a learning, it was a growing process. Actually, it was our first I could tell you how it worked for me, because when I got out of the Air Force, I actually had something where a lot of my counterparts had nothing. They had car payments when they got out. But when I went in the Air Force, the first car I bought was old. I didn't even buy it. I didn't even buy it. I traded a guy a van. It was a Toyota Town Ace van. I traded it to him for a wood stove that I built out of scrap steel. There you go. And then when I left, so I had used cars the whole time. I had beaters the whole time. And me and Jill bought a house, paid $45,000 for it. And it was beat. And put a new roof on it, fixed it up, cleaned it up, did everything that we could do to it. And then when we sold it, we actually made like $8,000 on it, or 10, something like that. And we applied that to the first farm that we had. And we squeaked in on that at 90,000, and it had 13 acres. And we sold that when we left for 145 because we developed it. We made it into a farm. It was the old farmhouse and all the land had been sold off, but we, cleaned up the barn, really cleaned it up, made it nice. When we left, all the animals went with it. The chickens and everything went with it. Well, just chickens. But really developed it into a farm. And then that money was applied to this. And you would not believe the land values here, but when I bought this, it was $1,500 per acre. It's not that anymore. It's like $4,000 an acre now. Cash is of less value to me than land and livestock and equipment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like if I'd have kept that $45,000 from 20 years ago and just kept it, it would still just be 45,000. That would buy less fuel and less everything. But because I put it into land, the land appreciated greatly in that 20 years. I mean, greatly. But the problem is, let's say you liquidated now. Oh, look at all the money I got. Yeah, but then you got to go find some more land. So you have to get out of here and go someplace, which is doable. It is doable. And with the skills that I have now, I would not be at all intimidated, even at 60 years old, 63, going someplace raw land that has no utilities within 20 miles. There's lots of land like that, lots of land that there are roads to, but there are no utilities. And it doesn't look like the utilities will be there within the next 5, 8, 10 years. So the land prices are low because no one's going to build a house because, well, we won't have electricity. But you can make your own electricity, and it's not all that difficult to do, really. So you can get a nice chunk of land, and then by the time the utilities make it there, then the land values shoot. So let's say you wanted to game it. You find a piece of land where there will be no utilities there for 5 years. And then in those 5 years, you develop, say, a 40-acre chunk of property that you pay $2,000 an acre for, or $1,000 an acre for, right? By the time the utilities make it there, you will sell it for a whole lot. And if you bought more than 40 acres, let's say you bought 100 acres, you lived on 20 of it and you parted off the rest, you could really do well doing that. I thought about doing that, but it's not as fun as what I'm doing. So I'm dug in here for a while. I will tell you this, just a little tidbit. Wow, hour and a half. No, 2.5 hours. Holy smokes. I got to get off of here. Yeah, I took a nap today. I get you, Ghost. I get you. Keep plugging along. Wait for that break. Yeah, this is why guys like middle-aged guys like me and you feel good about the future, the crazy future. Right on. Yeah, I kind of figure I'm halfway because I'm thinking 120. I still got a lot to do. All right, I got to get off. I'm 2.5 hours, and I think I'll be cooking for myself. All right, appreciate everybody coming by. Remember, tomorrow night we have the Zoom call, the consulting call, and that is a big deal because consulting is expensive. When you have somebody that knows how to do this and you want to hire them to come and show you how to do it, it's expensive. But if you're a Tribe Plus member, you are privy to the consulting call on Wednesday nights, every other Wednesday night. And I'll answer any question you got if I do. And we bring in a lot of other expertise because although, I may have been doing this for a long time, we've got people that have been doing this for half as long as I've been doing, but they know stuff that I don't know. There's some pretty sharp people on the consulting call. I do a lot of listening on that call. It's really good. So I hope everybody can make it. It's there's your pictures on there too, so it's a lot more fun, I guess. All right, but it's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Zoom call. If you're not a Tribe Plus member, you got to sign up for that. You got to sign, and you got to pay. You got to pay through the nose. All right. See you tomorrow night. Au revoir.